Welcome to the Remarkable Women, Powerful Stories, our leadership series by Zonta International. I thank you most sincerely for joining me once again for today's conversation with our special guest, Superintendent Sangya Malla. Welcome to you, Sangya.
Thank you, Lynn.
As I'm sure most of you know, I'm Lynn Foley, the chairman of the Zonta International Leadership Development Committee, and I really enjoy hosting this series. It's a significant part of my calendar. I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and also pay that respect to any First Nations people present. Zonta International is a leading global organisation of professionals empowering women worldwide through service and advocacy. Zonta, now in its second century, has more than 25,000 members in 64 countries working together to make gender equality a worldwide reality for women and girls. So now it's my pleasure to more formally introduce Sangya, who's joining me from the Democratic Republic of Congo in the city of Goma. So welcome sincerely to you, Sangya, and now I'm going to give a picture of just a few of your achievements, and we'll reveal the rest as we talk in our conversation. Superintendent Sangya Malla joined the Nepal Police in 2008 and has served in various capacities as the training coordinator, program manager, and the head of department of orthodontics. She currently serves as the chief of the MONUSCO Police Health and Environment Unit, which she helped establish in 2020. As I talk with Sangya today, you'll hear much more about her work with the United Nations Police, and particularly her work in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Sangya has many, many achievements, and one of the most recent is that in 2021, Sangya was awarded the United Nations Women Police Officer of the Year award for her significant contribution and work in the missions that she's been involved in with the UN, and in particular, the current one. So without any further ado, I think we should start a conversation, and it's lovely to be with you again today, Sangya.
Thank you, Lynn.
And I know your story is really inspirational. And so I'd like to begin today by asking you where and how your story began.
Okay, so, I'm the youngest in my family. I have an elder brother. And if you think of my childhood, it is pretty normal. And I just followed my brother around when I was young. So that led me to a boarding school at the age of 4, because we used to go and drop him to school in India. And then when I used to see those little kids with running around, and I thought it would be fun, but which I later regretted after 1 month. I was like, oh, I want to go back home, not study. So since a child, I've been like, the focus was more on studies. And like, I thought that was my work, to study and just like read and, do my work, get grades. So it has been like that. And I remember, going back from school to home during winter vacation. And that was the time that I enjoyed the most with my family, with my cousins, going to village, doing that sort of thing. So those are my memories of my childhood and family. So
yes, it's for those of us where it's really unusual to go to boarding school at the age of 4, it sounds quite shocking, or it sounds, I don't know, when you first told me that recently, I went, oh, and then I remembered from my time of visiting India that it happened a lot. Many, many children from Nepal and India and Pakistan went to boarding school at a very young age. So just to follow that thread, do you think that's formed or helped form the woman you are today, that experience, albeit that it might have been a mix of difficult and a mix of positive?
Well, now when I think of it, yes, I think it gave me more confidence from an early age. Being away from family, deciding on my own on who to make friends and who not to make friends, from starting from childhood. And also it gave me sort of confidence. And at that time, so what was required of me? It was to study. So all I did was study. So I've been like more, you could call me a bookworm. If I didn't read my textbooks, I would be reading the other, storybooks and other stuff like that. So it was more on reading and what was required of me and my parents' expectations of me to study and get good grades at that time. And I think it played a big role, being away from Nepal into another country and meeting people from different backgrounds. And also in my school, we had from other countries too. So it was like, I learned about diversity from early age. So I think that also could have helped.
And the experience of, I guess, and the experience of traveling and being in another country and all sorts of things. I know previously when we met, we talked about the importance of education. Can you talk a little bit about your broader educational pathway? So after boarding school and moving on, because you've already had a few careers so far, a change of career and a change of direction. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that educational pathway and what caused you to make the choices you made.
In the beginning, when I was a child, I used to say, like, I want to become a doctor. I think that was, for most Nepalese parents, they want their child to be a doctor or engineer or something like that. And so it was expected. And my teachers also always like, okay, you can do good in this, you're good in that. So, you should pursue a career in that. So they're also, in a way, guiding you towards it. So, so I always wanted to become a doctor. But then later on, I came back to Nepal after when I was 8 years old. I went back to Nepal to study, continue. And then I went back again to India. So at that time, when I went back to India again to study, at that time, I think I changed the idea of becoming a doctor. I didn't want to become a doctor. But then since I had joined my plus two, like after 10, 11th grade, 12th, it was science background. So, and I did good in that. So I got a scholarship again to study in India. So I thought like, okay, so this is kind of fate and I have to become a doctor or, that. And then I joined dentistry and I finished that. And then, but it was not enough for me. I wanted to do more. And then I used to see my cousins, I had cousins in force, like she's a doctor too. And so I really liked the uniform, the discipline, and and serving more people, like different community. So and then when this opportunity came for this vacancy in Nepal Police, I joined Nepal Police in 2008 as a dentist, and then after 3 years, I got a chance to again another scholarship to study orthodontics, and then I studied orthodontics, and then I got a chance to go to Haiti. So it's been, I know it is surprising from being a doctor and then going over to police and then, serving different things. But for me, it's all about like serving and, serving community and also representing your country in an international level. I think that was important to me.
When you're in Haiti, were you there as part of United Nations work or some other work when you went to Haiti?
Part of United Nations work. So at that time, I was there as a team of medical team in a formed police unit. So we have, for police also, we have like formed police unit and individually deployed. So at that time, I was a part of a contingent. And now I'm individually deployed. So it was a great experience serving in MINUSTAH in 2016 to 2017.
Your current role in the mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which seems so remote for most of us. So most of the people listening today, it's a far off place. It's a long way away in Africa, and it was really interesting the sort of work that you're involved in there. So I wonder if you can give us, just a picture or a story of what your role requires and an idea of the projects that you're involved in and what they contribute to the community where you're based.
So when I came to Democratic Republic of Congo in November 2020, when I came here, we were in the middle of the pandemic. There were like new variants coming in, and we are here to fulfill the mission's mandate. So it was difficult to fulfill that with the pandemic going on. So there was this strong need of having good guidelines and policies regarding how we continue to do with the work, that is to serve the local population and not propagate the disease. And also in DRC, as you know, we keep having these outbreaks like Ebola, malaria, cholera from time to time. So it was very important for all UN personnel not to be infected by that, and also not to propagate these diseases to the local communication, to the host country that we are here to serve. So the main objective was of creating this unit, Health and Environment, that dealt with mitigating these risks, and also to be responsible environmentally towards the host country that we are here to serve as UN posts, because peacekeeping missions has a larger footprint, and that could have another impact on the environment of the host country. So that was the main objective. So and we developed more projects on how we could help the Congolese government. That is because we being police, we liaise directly with the PNCs, that is the Police National Congolese. So we help them, with the logistic supports, like by donating reusable masks, gels, in all the sectors, and also giving trainings, awareness trainings on how to reduce the risk of COVID-19, malaria, cholera, Ebola in all the sectors. And currently, what we're doing is in some sectors where we don't have electricity, in the offices of the Police National Congolese. So we are developing a project on how to, donating solar panels to those, so that they can have electricity to run their business, their daily business. So that's the current project that we're working on right now.
It's such important work, isn't it? Like, incredibly important work to give back. And I have a sense from what you're saying that so much of what you do is about giving back. It's about giving back to the communities in which you work and the countries in which you work, or using your expertise. It's really, really, really important work. So you've served in more than one country on more than one mission, and I acknowledge this requires for you to leave your family at home in Nepal. And I know you do have a family in Nepal, so it'd be interesting for our people today to hear a little bit about your family and the way in which you manage those challenges. I know there's a lot of positives, but there are also challenges. So I know that that'll be of great interest to the people watching today. So,
yes, I mean, being away from home, it is difficult, but I am sort of used to being away. But now I have responsibility towards my parents, towards my son. He's going to be 9 soon, and it is difficult sometimes. And when he asks me, when are you coming back home? But I make sure I go in every 2-3 months, and we keep in touch through phone. But it is difficult, and but when I got the award, my son was very happy. He said, "Oh, Mamu, you become famous." So that was a proud moment for me. So, and I told him, "See, I'm doing all this for you." I told him, "I do this for you, so that you will also follow me in this step, in serving people, in serving community." So I hope he understands one day why I left him when he was young to go out and do this job that I am doing.
Yes, but he does get to go to a local school, and he does get to be around family and with family, doesn't he? So, and children are resilient, and they live with what they know, I think, don't they? Like, he lives with what he knows, and if he's loved, he'll be fine, won't he? I'm sure. And he'll be more independent as a result, no doubt. So you are successful already in a range of leadership roles, including your current role as superintendent with the Nepali Police, and chief of the MONUSCO Police Health and Environment Unit, and all your other achievements through your dentistry and orthodontics. So as a result of your work, you were awarded the United Nations Women Police Officer of the Year award last year. So can you talk to us a little bit about what contributed to your award, and maybe follow through on some of those motivations, the motivations. You've talked a little bit about already what motivates you to do the work you do, but you might want to expand on that a little bit and talk about how that award came about.
Well, I think my main guiding force has been my family, my parents. They've always supported me, and also because they are the constant force. But as you go through life, you meet different people, and they influence you in all in your path of life. So in schools, it was my teachers, and then I have my friends who always like supported me and guided me. And here, I'm lucky to be a part of UN system that believes in equal women's participation in leadership roles. And I was given that opportunity to do my best. And all I did was work hard. And I think whoever gave me this opportunity, my supervisor, the hierarchy of the police component in MONUSCO, they saw the potential in me. They gave me this opportunity, and all I did was I think they boosted me. They motivated me. They gave me confidence to do the best that I could do. And that's how I think I owe it to all of them, all those people. And so my is this team, award, of course.
Yes, well, I guess we're nothing without a team behind us or with us and working beside us. Was this award mainly for your work in the Democratic Republic of Congo?
Yes, it was mainly for the work that I did here. The establishment of the Health and Environment Unit, and the work it did to serve the UN police and also to the community.
Lovely. So from me, sincere congratulations. It's a significant award. And as your son said, Mum, you're famous now. So it's really important to remember that and to take time to celebrate. I'm sure you have celebrated. You've talked quite a bit about what's motivated you. What's continuing to motivate you to be a leader with influence? Because leadership is a step ahead of career. You became a dentist and then orthodontics, but now you're a true leader in the work that you do. What motivates you or causes you to want to influence, and I guess how do you apply that influence?
I feel the reason that I want to do more and go more is like there's a I don't know if you call it disbelief or the notion that everyone has that usually like females cannot be in this line of work, the police work, and also like be out in the field, out of the comfort zone. And, there's a lot of restrictions, and also, it's not that just because you get an award that one person is successful. Everybody is successful actually in their own way, but being awarded gives that how do you say it, a way of everyone knowing it. Okay, so there is one female who's awarded for her work, and that's the award for me is for me to be a role model so that others could follow in. Others could say, okay, so if she can do it, I can do it too. It's a more, I hope I can motivate women, not just from my country, but from other country to pursue a line in police work if they want, or any other work, and to come to peacekeeping missions, because in peacekeeping missions, the role of women is very important, and we can make a difference. So I would like if more women could come join this line of work and help in places like DRC or other places where there's conflicts, and be able to serve, and to have that confidence, to have that motivation. So that's what I wish for and hope for.
And it's important to have the balance, the gender balance, isn't it? The gender balance in your work in your home country of Nepal, but in the work you're doing here and whatever country you might go to next. And through that role model, is it one of your hopes that you will be able to, I guess, influence in the UN and in the Nepalese police, wherever you are, for more gender balance? So not only that women and girls might see what they want to be, because we all know if we can't see what we want to be, it's really impossible, isn't it, for young people to know. They don't see it, they don't know that it's there for them. But do you think the way in which you work and the other women with whom you work may bring about that, say, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, that the girls there might see it also and the women might see it for their daughters? Do you think that's a possibility?
Yes, of course, it is a possibility. That is why when we go out in the field, the police, the military, it's when women go out wearing uniform, when they go out, you see lot more interaction from the local population to the women, because like we live in a society where we're always in shadow of men. So, and if you have a male officer and a female officer, and in a place of conflict, the female would approach a female officer than a male officer, to share if there's anything that's going around, or to participate in trainings or awareness or anything that's benefiting them. So women play a big role. And that also, when you look at someone doing that, I mean, that will also kind of give you the confidence or more reason to come out of their hiding, because it's easier to open up to a female officer than the male officer. Yeah, so
and to see a female, they feel more confident that they'll be listened to, and maybe they don't have fear, the fear that they might have of approaching a male, depending on their experiences during the conflict. Yes. How much courage, this is a question we hadn't really talked about, but how much courage do you think it's taken for you to step into peacekeeping? Because it always ends up you being in a place of conflict or potential conflict. I just wondered, could you explore that thought a little bit? How much courage does it take?
Yeah, it does take up a lot of courage, and I'm sure you've heard of these shootings and killings, and a lot of peacekeepers have lost their lives in the mission, and it takes up a lot of courage. I mean, you signed up for it, and it is. I'm okay with it, though, but I mean, I'm basically a human being, so I am scared, but I fear more for my family being back home, worrying about me. That worries me more than me being here in this conflict area, actually.
Yeah, so your mother, your parents, your son, being concerned that you're at more risk than perhaps they are because of the conflicts and the violence and whatever's going on any given day. Yeah, I guess it's always a concern when we think people are worrying about us. I agree there. Absolutely. So I'd like to take us into the whole piece of the pandemic, which I'm sure has consumed you in your work in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and it's consumed all the rest of us across the world. So much has been written and said about the disproportionate effect on women and girls from the pandemic. How do you believe, or what have you seen in the effects the pandemic's having in an already challenging and complex situation for women and girls, perhaps in your home country of Nepal and in the DRC where you're currently deployed?
Well, pandemic, as it had an effect, because being locked up due to the pandemic. I mean, being locked up in the home, being 24/7 in the home, in that kind of environment, it has significantly increased the domestic violence and also other sorts of violence against women, mostly, the vulnerable communities like the women and children. So it has significantly increased, and sadly, yes, but now it's because it's coming back to normal. I would not say normal, but a little bit normal due to vaccination. So now you can go out or do a little bit of normal activities. So I hope that this will, reduce in number the violence against women, domestic violence, and other kind of violence against the vulnerable groups. I hope it goes down.
I know even here in Australia, the people who work in the domestic violence area say that there's been a significant rise in domestic violence, and particularly affecting women and girls, not uniquely, but particularly. And we often talk about whether it's proportionally more difficult in countries such as the Democratic Republic of Congo, that is still developing, still growing and developing, and economically and socially, and working its way through all of the issues that you have there, you know, the medical situation and the political situation, etc. Thank you. Thank you for commenting on that, because it's an unusual situation, I understand. So part of the Zonta vision, Zonta International Vision, is about envisioning a world where women's rights are recognised as human rights and every woman is able to achieve her full potential. You're a member of a Zonta club in Nepal, albeit that you're not in Nepal at the moment, but you are or have been. What drew you to become a Zonta member? What caused you to make that choice?
Actually, it was through a friend. So I have a friend, Nilima. She's in Zonta, and she's also in development sector. So she keeps traveling to western part of Nepal, helping in the western. When I talk about western part of Nepal, there's areas where it's remote and it's still underdeveloped, and not a lot of things needs to be done. So I wanted to do something like that in whatever scale that was. So she asked me if I wanted to be a part of Zonta. So I asked her what does it do, and then she told me about all the things that they were doing, and and then I was like, yes, of course, I want to be a part of something that's good, and that's how through her I joined Zonta.
That's fabulous. So how do you see Zonta members are able to influence the current situation with women's rights and gender equality? What are some of the things that you think Zonta members could influence? Because I know we all work very hard in our local Zonta clubs, and Zonta International works globally on so many projects. But I'd be interested in your views, because you've worked now in so many different countries and seen the situation for women. So
what was being done at that time, see, in my country mostly, so women don't know that they're a victim, or they don't know that this is what is it's happening to them is not right. They don't even know their own rights, or when they're being bullied, or when they're being abused. So I think it's still at this point, awareness, or telling them that this is not right. You are not supposed to suffer like this, or this is not supposed to happen. Imagine child marriage is still happening. So fighting against child marriage, creating awareness. Those things were going on at that time, and also giving trainings on empowering women who've not completed their studies, and they're not independent, still dependent on their husbands for some basic stuff. So just empowering them by giving them training so that they could be self-sufficient. I think all that has been going on I think it's good enough for now. But what more we could do is, I think, more like raising voices to help these women, like to not just by like, how do I say it, I'm at loss of words right now.
So are you heading towards that notion of the power of our voice? How do we use our voice to maybe advocate might be the word you're looking for, that advocacy of getting
advocacy, and also connecting them to the right people. that is also very important, okay, where do you go if something happens to you, to have the right channel. So that's why what we did last time when I was there was with the help of community police, So these community police, what they did was, if there was a report of a violence, let's say, for example, someone called to report. So these people would directly link with the members of Zonta. So we have Zontians who are lawyers, psychologists who could give free counseling. So whatever needed, these women could have access to free counseling, to free counseling, and if they needed a lawyer or any legal advice, they could take it. So I think those things, putting it into action is also a good way.
In the city of Toowoomba, where I spend some of my time here in Queensland, although right here tonight I'm wearing a jumper as we're recording this, and I'm in the capital, the national capital of Australia, in Canberra. So I'm here doing work. But when I'm in my home city of Toowoomba, we recently, as the Zonta Club, engaged with a lot of women who are refugees, who came to our country as refugees from a variety of countries, Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. And the two things they told us that was so important to women becoming free, having more equity or balance, was a driver's license and a job. And the job and the license sort of went together, particularly in our country, because of distance and to take the children to school and to be able to be involved in the school, or to be able to go shopping, or to go to job interviews, or to go to training, or to go to the location where they were learning English, because they often arrived without any English. So it was really interesting when we talked to young women who are now studying at university, having arrived as refugees. It's that and then the importance of education, which is what we've been talking about: education, jobs, and a driver's license. So it's really interesting for us as Zonta members locally, I think, to think about that, isn't it? So what is it? And it's not just women who've come to our countries from somewhere else, it's our own women as well that maybe don't have an education or a job or a license or access. That access, it's quite challenging, isn't it? Do you find in your own country of Nepal that there are still challenges with that?
Yes, of course, there are challenges with that. First of all, like you have the main challenge of like children girls being married off at an early age, and they're not having equal opportunity for education, and then also like that leads to being dependent on others, so that leads to restriction and not being able to do things. So yes, that is the biggest challenge.
And so having education of girls to start with, and then moving on. And it's a continuing challenge, and it's a shame that the pandemic seems to have set that back. Conflict sets it back. There are so many things that set that back for women in our world. So let's move on to leadership for the last third of our conversation. Leadership is what you do. It's what many of us do. Who have been the people that have influenced you most along the way?
I think it's my mom, I think, because she is a very strong woman, and she's always taught me, as long as you are right, do not be afraid to speak. So I think she's helped a lot of people. I mean, she still works. I mean, she's a work. And my mom started working late, actually. Before she was like a housewife, and she took care of the family. She did not work much, but later, due to some circumstances, she had to work, and then she started late. And then I look at her and I see her, and then she's more of an inspiration to me. And having her, starting late and doing something and helping others. And she's like very generous. and she's helped a lot of people. Anyone, if she sees any like a kid, an orphan, but she'll bring him home. She'll give him, provide shelter and give education, and later you will go and if you get an education, you are confident enough to get a job, and then they leave. So I've seen her do that, and so she's my biggest influence, actually.
That's lovely. And in the professional space, have you had mentors yourself, and or are you now mentoring others in your role as the leader that you are?
Yes, here my supervisor, I think he's a true leader, I think, because from my experience, what I felt was, a mentor or a leader, anyone should see the good, your strength and they see the strength, and of course they see your weaknesses too. But it is very important to highlight on the strength, on what you have. And if someone highlights on your strength, then you think, you get the confidence. When you get the confidence, then you're able to achieve anything that you put your mind to. So yes, I've been fortunate enough to have a supervisor like that. And supervisors always play a direct role in shaping you on what you become. And I do the same to my team. I learn from him and I apply it. So yes, and I've had a fabulous team, and we motivate each other. It's not like, okay, I'm the chief, so it's not like that. So we are a team, and it's work.
Yes, so together. And members of your team from all different countries? You said you were there as an independent individual, so you'd have a mix of nationalities in your team?
Yes. I had, my first colleague was Romanian. She's a female, but she's gone back now. She's finished. And then I had another colleague from Jordan. And for the longest time, I had was from Canada, Steve. And he was super nice, very gentleman. And right now I have from Djibouti, the colleague. And so, because I've spent 18 months here, so, there's a lot of changes, but I've had a really superb team, and, really great. I'm very lucky, I think I should say.
And I know from our initial conversation, because it's the Democratic Republic of Congo, you all have to learn French, or you all had to have some French language to get on the team. And I was thinking of you just the other day, because I also speak some French, a reasonable amount. And I was thinking, I wonder how that's going for you, because it's so hard to be working in a country where you have to use the language to communicate with the people in your community often.
It is difficult. I'm still learning. So it always ends up like je parle un peu français. So that's it. And I get away with it.
Je parle français un peu. A petit peu. Oui. Yes, it's challenging when we're trying to work and speak in a language that isn't our language. And I'm in total admiration of so many of my European Zonta colleagues who are linguists. They speak 3 and 4 languages fluently, or reasonably fluently, and can just flick from one to the other. And I'm super impressed by that. And I'd like to think I could learn to do that myself one day. But that's a global citizen, isn't it? Yourself being a true global citizen. You're working in different languages and in different countries, making a difference. Leadership is so important in all areas of our families, our societies, everything we do, and it's our future, building new leaders, etc. So what do you think your powers or gifts are? What are your leadership powers or gifts? What is it that you rely on as a leader that is your gift?
Well, this is what everyone says, and I say that to myself. I think it is communication. You have to have like really open, honest communication. And also one is being positive. I think you need to have a really positive mindset. And and also you have to practice what you preach. You cannot, say one thing and do other thing. So for me, it is, and not being too rigid, not having a rigid mindset, be flexible, listen to your team members, just open to criticism, even negative, or positive or negative. Just listen, communicate, resolve through conflicts if there's any. So for me, and also build a good network. That's also important, so that you have everything in place. Your vision on objectives or aims, that you are there. That's your goal is met. So it is all through teamwork for me. It's more democratic.
Yes, and not being autocratic, involving people in decisions when you can. And there are times when we can't always involve people, but most of the time we can at least consult, can't we, towards an outcome. So I assume that somewhere in your life so far, professionally or personally, there's been a tough challenge, something that's you really had to work at to overcome. Have you got something like that you might be willing to share, and what helped you overcome the roadblock, or even generally when you hit I call it like hitting a wall and you can't see a way through it or around it, and we've got to figure out what to do. So how do you face up to that, or how did you face up to that when you had something going on?
Well, that comes many a times in life, and sometimes once there was a time when I was told that, okay, I don't think you could do this job because it's stressful, and I don't think you'll be able to do it. So at that time I was like, okay, I was challenged. So if someone tells me that you cannot do a job because it's stressful or things like that, it sort of, I take it like really personally, or like, no, why? And then, so at that time, like, I went up and I said, like, no, I mean, if you think the other person is more suitable for that, you can say that, and I agree to that, but do not say that I cannot handle stress or I cannot handle a difficult situation because you haven't given me the chance. So I think communication works, and sometimes when things, then I really like to talk to myself and try to reason it out. Maybe it's for the best, and sometimes I let it go if it doesn't happen. So I just let it go, and but I make sure that I have this positive mindset and attitude, and I don't get lost in the negativity or those kind of things.
No, that's remarkable to be able to do that, I say. Do you ever get to a point where your confidence drops or your resilience drops? Like there are times like that time when your confidence or self-esteem can take a knock. If that happens, do you have someone or to rely on, or is it more about that positive mindset that you go back to?
Usually it's my positive mindset, but sometimes it gets, obviously that does not help all the time. So at that time, I share everything with my mom. So like I said, she's been a powerful driving force towards me, like, always accepting me in every role that I am. So she's the one. So if I'm really low down, I talk to her, and then the only thing that she always tells me is like, don't, she tells me stuff and how I was before, and how I even when I was like down, bottom, below, and how I stood up again. So, she's the driving force for me.
And so I guess it's a little bit of that pep talk, isn't it? Giving you your power back. Sometimes we lose our power and we need a way to get that power back, or whatever it is we've lost. And it's lovely that you have that relationship with your mum. It's just lovely. Way back in the beginning of our conversation, you talked about, as a little person, you were someone who studied and read all your textbooks, and then you used to read other books. So now, as an adult and a leader and doing all of the work that you do, where you're very, very busy, I wonder what you go to when you're looking for rest and relaxation. Do you still read? And if so, what do you read? or do you listen to books or podcasts? What is it you do when you have time? Because good leaders do take time out and they do those sorts of things. So I just wondered what you do.
I used to read a lot, but I really stopped reading. But now I'm more into watching documentaries and stuff like that. I don't have a go-to topic, but now I'm really interested in the power of mind. So I've been reading a lot on this recently that I read on this about mind reader. So I'm nowadays I'm more into reading mind, and we know that mind is the most powerful thing. I mean, you can make it or do it any way that you can. It's all in your head. How you take up challenge and how you so me, I'm really interested in learning about the mind and about the positiveness. And now I'm more inclined towards spirituality. And now I want to now start on meditation and more of calming, being calm and balanced. And so, yes, now I'm more into those sort of things now.
But you're still learning. If you're looking for balance and learning and growing and finding ways to, from what I think I know, to keep that positive mindset and to keep yourself in a good place to be a really good leader and a really good mum and a really good family member and all of the things that you do. So what do you think's next for you? I know you've done 18 months or so already in this role. You might know what's next, but what do you think might be next? And as a result of that, where do you think you can use your voice, the power of your voice next to get that lift that you're looking for?
So I'm leaving on the 21st of May. I finish my mission. So for the moment, for the moment, I just want to go home and be with my family. And I go back to my job, that is working in Nepal Police Hospital. So for the moment, it's just that, and also continue with the work for Zonta. And now I feel like I could do more. So I've not thought about it right now, but I will continue with this motivation that I have right now. So I will continue with maybe I don't know, maybe start something there, in Nepal. I haven't really thought, but I want to do more on environment now, like whatever contribution that I can. I want to be with the group, and I have my cousins working on that. So maybe I will help them with the projects that they are doing. So, I want to contribute on that part.
Because you've been working in that environmental space where you are now too, haven't you? So it seems like a natural segue. Well, when I spoke to you last time, we weren't sure whether you were going home in May or whether you were going to extend. So that's only next week. That's only 1 week away and you're going home.
Yes.
From when we're recording this, of course, it's a week or two before people will be watching us. So by the time this goes live and people are watching us, you'll already be back in Nepal. So that'll be one big celebration because your son gets to see his famous mum all over again. And I'm sure it'll be just a lovely, positive and welcoming opportunity. So you have so much before you, Sangya, I think, haven't you? So much to look forward to, and you've already contributed so much in the way in which your world works. So in order to, I guess, close our conversation, although I could keep talking to you for a very long time, what thoughts would you like to leave with the people who are watching you today? What's your final set of thoughts that you'd like them to hear?
I think what I would like to say is everyone can make a difference. We don't have to make it big or anything. We just got to believe in ourselves and work hard. That's it. Just work hard in whichever field that you are, and just believe in yourself. Get the confidence, and be out of your comfort zone, and just do the work. And that's it. And life is all about learning and falling and getting up again. And don't lose yourself in the negativity and all this. Lots going on. The world is not. It's always changing, evolving, but we always need to give back. Because we are here for a reason, I think. So, you know, just a little contribution, whatever it is, in whatever line of work. And I think it is our responsibility to do that, to give back. That's
I
all.
so often
Thank you,
say
Lynn.
that it's been a pleasure. I so often say that when I grow up, I'll know what I want to be. It's that power of continuing to rebirth and refresh and renew and do different things. And that's what I see you've been doing all of your career and life so far, you know, taking what you know and taking it into new and different places to have a voice and an influence and to make life different for the people around you. So Zonta applauds you. Zonta is very proud to have you not only as a friend, but as a member. And your story is remarkable, it's powerful. And I'm so thrilled to have met you and so thrilled to have been privileged to spend this time with you. And I know that when you return home, your Zonta Club will welcome you with open arms. You're with the Zonta Club of Kathmandu, aren't you?
Yes,
yes. So they will welcome you with open arms. And thank you for being generous with your time with me and with our remarkable people who watch us. They'll enjoy your story, no doubt. And it's generous of you to give me this time. So thank you so, so much. So to everyone who's watching us today, our next webinar will be released at the end of June. And our guest next time will be our Zonta International President, Sharon Lingenbeck. Sharon is coming to the end of her 2-year term as International President, and we're going to have a retrospective about her time as International President and what we've both learnt from all the remarkable women we've met this year. So I recommend that to you. In the meantime, thank you again, Sangya. Go well and go safely in your journey home. And I'm sure our paths will cross again in the Zonta world.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Thank you.